Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. It is Wednesday. It's been a big blur. When a holiday is on a weekend and it's attached, I forget what day it is. So it is a Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. My last video, I know everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, Deommodore Lenoir is never going to get 10 interceptions. We're talking goals, people. Goals for Deommodore Lenoir. I don't think he's going to get them either, but for him to be an all pro, more than 2 interceptions. Obviously, the goal would be 10. I know the top last year was 9. I get it. There's Matt in here. Sorry. But these are goals. Just looking at who is set for a breakout season, what they could do if Deommodore Lenoir has an all-star season above 5 interceptions, but he needs to also have a ton of pass breakups and looking like, Trevor Ward, when he led the league in pass breakups. That's the type of season that Deommodore Lenoir needs to have. So I'm not saying that Deommodore Lenoir is going to have 10 interceptions, but it is a goal to look up to. All right. So I did talk about 5 players who are set to have a breakout season. And I think that there are some players that also have kind of they've got a tough year ahead of them. It's a make or break season for several players as well. So I picked out 5 players, and then there's kind of a 6th. Interestingly, where it's, players that really need to step up. A lot of it is happening on the offensive line. There's a lot of free agents on the offensive line coming up, and the 49ers offensive line is kind of built of Trent Williams and a bunch of other guys that people across the league don't really know. So you have Trent Williams on the line. Obviously, that makes your offensive line a lot better. And John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan said, hey, when Trent Williams is out there, the offensive line plays a lot better. Also, when Christian McCaffrey is out there, the offensive line plays a lot better. So that being said, there are some players who are set to be free agents in 2026. Now, this is a way too early look ahead at 2026 free agents, but when you look at them, you kind of can pick out guys who really need to have a good season to set themselves up for a big contract coming up. So last year, the year before, it was Brandon Ayuk had a huge season, setting him up for a huge contract. Before that, the guys that got paid on the offensive line, right? It's Jalen Moore. Now he's highly paid swing, who was a swing tackle, now highly paid left tackle. It's Aaron Banks, guard, huge contract. So these guys have a big task in front of them to set themselves up for a giant contract in 2026. So one of the guys who is coming back from an ACL injury needs to have a good season. He's been a special team star. It's Curtis Robinson, who's a linebacker. He has been with the 49ers for 4 years prior to his ACL injury last year. This is his 5th year with the San Francisco 49ers. And, his stat sheet, not a lot. He hasn't played in a lot of games, but watching him at minicamp and OTAs, he's huge. He's muscular. He's running. I think he's going to be one of the first players back from ACL injury. So he hurt it back in, training camp last year, and he's about a year out. So he probably could make some headway to make a play for the 53 coming up this year. Curtis Robinson is a guy that they've used on special teams, and they've kept around a long time. He actually hasn't played that many games. In 4 years for the 49ers, he's played in 12 games, hasn't played a whole lot, but he is a free agent. He's a guy, he was the Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate last year. He's a guy that they love in the locker room. He is the union representative for the team. A lot of guys love him. He's a great leader, but he just hasn't played in a lot of games. So this is a make or break year for Curtis Robinson. He is a stand-up guy. I love talking to him. He's always very open. He's very eloquent. He gives you kind of the pulse of what's going on in the locker room. And he's very honest and open about everything. So Curtis Robinson is a guy who really needs to have a great training camp to set himself up to actually get on the field during the regular season. He's played in 3 games, each of his last 4 years for the 49ers, which is shocking to me because I always feel like he's always been around, but he really hasn't appeared in that many games. Previous to that, he played with the Denver Broncos. He appeared in 3 games for them. So Curtis Robinson is a guy who, this is a make or break year. This is a year that will set him up for the future. I don't think he'll get a mega contract. I don't think he'll be a huge, make a huge impact on the 49ers, but this is a chance for him to show that he can stay healthy, show that he can be effective, primarily on special teams, but also, as a stand-in linebacker. So this is a chance for him to kind of step up and make a big name for himself. Another guy who so that was number 6. This is number 5. Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford has been around the 49ers for quite some time, and he's a guy who could set himself up for a huge contract like Aaron Banks, like Jalen Moore. He is a guy that is probably going to be the swing tackle for the 49ers going into this year. He's been with the team for 3 seasons. He's been a right guard. He's been kind of an all across the line guy. He will be a free agent in 2026. So this is his final year on his contract. And, he was the 4th round pick in 2022. This is a chance for him to really make a name for himself. If something happens to Trent Williams, he needs to be ready to step in, just like Jalen Moore did last year. Jalen Moore got paid a ton of money. So this is Spencer Burford's chance to step in if needed. If Colton McKivitz gets injured, he comes in and he can make, show that he is a capable tackle on either side of the ball, either side of the line, not either side of the ball, either side of the line. Show his versatility. If someone gets hurt at guard, he could compete for that left guard. Chris Foerster said that he's more of a tackle than a guard, but he needs to show that he can be plugged in anywhere and that he can play. He will make a lot of money in the NFL because that's what 49ers offensive linemen do. They play well for 4 years and they go to another team and make a lot of money. The fan base may not like the 49ers offensive line players individually, but the league realizes how good they are. All right, another offensive lineman, it's number 3, Ben Bartch. Ben Bartch could step in at left guard right next to Trent Williams. And, he's a guy who they've liked for a really long time. He hasn't played a ton of games, but he's played a good amount. He's played 8 games for the 49ers. Before that, he was with Jacksonville, where he played a lot more, 49 games total over his 5 years. Jacksonville, he played 41 games, 20 as a starter. He's a guy that the 49ers believe has a veteran presence. He's kind of a quiet guy in the locker room, doesn't say a whole lot, but they do feel like he's a guy that's going to play that left tackle or left guard spot next to Trent Williams. Again, just like Spencer Burford, if Ben Bartch gets that starting position on the left at left guard, plays really well, he could be set up for a huge contract, just like Aaron Banks. Maybe not quite as big, but as long as he shows that he's a capable offensive guard, offensive linemen are so in demand in the NFL because most guys, when they're in college, they want to play on the defensive line. There's more glory. It's sacks. It's, pressure. It's not that either side is easier than one side is easier than the other, but there's no glory in being an offensive lineman. You really only get the highlight when you have a fail. Trent Williams is a guy who gets out and, run blocks 20 yards down the field. So it's a little different for him. And there are some others. Mike McGlinchey would have those highlights too. Not the best pass protector, but a really good run blocker. So he's a guy that could definitely make a name for himself, earn himself a big contract coming up. And that's Ben Bartch, offensive lineman. He was a 4th round pick in 2020. So, this is a time for him to start making his money. He's got to get a next contract. If the 49ers are smart and they like what he does, they could sign him to a contract at the beginning of the season. All right. Number 3, Jason Pinnock. 1-year deal, really inexpensive for the 49ers. This is Jason Pinnock's chance to really show what he can be in the league. He could set himself up for a huge contract. The 49ers got him on the discount. It's a 1-year, $2 million deal for him this year. He's had 4 years in the league. He's played a pretty good number of games. He's appeared in 58 games total, started 39. So, he's been with the Jets and the Giants. I think Robert Saleh knows exactly who he is. I think he's the starter week 1. If he plays well, he could set himself up for a good contract. I mean, he's took a chance on himself for a 1 year, $2 million deal. 49ers need him. They also said, hey, we may not need you the whole season. Malik Mustafa is coming back from ACL injury. We do need you, but maybe, he knows his eyes are wide open. He knows he needs to play well to stay in that starting position. Maybe if it's next to Jair Brown to start the season, maybe next to Malik Mustafa at the second half of the season when comes back and he's healthy. So Jason Pinnock could earn himself a big contract if he has a good season, a lot of pass breakups, a lot of tackles. He's going to show that he can really be a starter on the defense, and he can set himself up for a big contract in 2026. All right, number 2, Colton McKivitz, right tackle. 49ers have really kind of kept him under the radar. They like him, and they're huge fans of him. He's been with the 49ers since 2020. He's on his second contract, but he will be a free agent in 2026. 5th-round draft pick. Those 5th-round picks, they end up playing a lot for the 49ers. Came out of West Virginia. He has played in 62 games, 39 as a starter. It's pretty good. 5 years with the 49ers. He's going into his 6th season. Again, just like Spencer Burford, Ben Bart, Colton McKivitz, he's been a solid guy. I know people are not huge fans of the 49ers offensive line, but you look at how much they get paid. Colton McKivitz could get paid a huge mega contract if he plays well this year. So it is, again, a make or break season for Colton McKivitz. He's played well. Chris Forster likes him. He's a guy who I think is a solid guy in the locker room. Just a guy who can do the work. And yes, he might not be the best tackle in the league, but he's a solid guy who the 49ers like. And again, like Ben Bart, he's a guy, they quietly signed him to an extension after his, rookie contract was up, and he stayed with the team. So he could be a guy like Jalen Moore under the radar who ends up getting a giant contract with a huge team like Kansas City or Green Bay. It's pretty crazy. Number 1 guy who has a make or break season is the guy who had his best season in 2025. It's Jauan Jennings. Jauan Jennings is going to be a free agent and at the end of 2025. And after his last year where he almost hit 1,000 yards, so close, but got kicked out of the game, minor details. 975 yards, 77 catches. He was wide receiver 1 for Brock Purdy last year. He is going to start out the season again as wide receiver 1. Can he do it again? If he has another season like last year, he's going to have a big contract. 49ers are not going to extend him. They've already got a lot of players on huge extensions. This year was obviously Brock Purdy. It was George Kittle. It was Fred Warner. Jauan Jennings was on the guy that they could offer a huge contract to. So I think Jauan is betting on himself. He's got to have another huge season to get himself a big contract, potentially with another team. I know you don't want to see Jauan Jennings go to another team. I don't either. He is such a tough run blocker. He is, tough with the ball in his hands. He will run people over. He doesn't take no for an answer. He plays to the edge of the line, just enough to, incite personal fouls. He's a guy that, goes to that dark place when he plays football. He is a guy you don't want to meet one-on-one when he's got the football in his hands. But Jauan Jennings could be setting himself up for a huge contract. He is going into his 5th year with the 49ers. This is the end of his 2-year extension. And if he has another year like last year, he's going to make a lot of money. And if the 49ers keep Brandon Ayuk, which I think they kind of have to monetarily, cap space wise, I don't think they can keep Jauan Jennings. They need Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Watkins. They need those guys to step up. What they signal to Jauan Jennings by taking all those guys and keeping those guys on the roster is that Jauan Jennings, this is his chance to play for himself. Obviously, he's playing for the team, but this is going to set him up for the future for I don't think it's going to be a mega contract. It's not going to be like Brandon Ayuk. I don't think, but it's going to be up there. It's not going to be one of the top wide receiver contracts in the league next year, but I do think he's going to get paid a lot of money because of what he can do, just his toughness. He's known around the league of who he can be. Not the most vocal leader. He's more of kind of an enthusiast, different than, guys like Emmanuel Sanders who come in and like really change the wide receiver room. He will change the wide receiver room, but not in that same kind of veteran leadership way, more in like leading by example way. So Jauan Jennings, one of the guys who has a make or break season in 2025. All right, that's it for me for Wednesday. Hope you guys are well. Matt Maiocco is at the ACC golf tournament in Tahoe, and I've heard he's getting really good interviews, and those are going to go up on 49ers Talk ASAP, so check those out. Also, the last episode of 49ers Talk, we had a great interview with Jason Pinnock, so please tune into 49ers NBC Sports Bay Area. .com and check out 49ers Talk. We've got all those exclusive interviews on there for you guys to check out. I hope you guys are well, and I will definitely talk to you soon. Yeah, no, I guess Jason Pinnock was the only defensive player that's got kind of a make or break season. A lot of them on the offense. Interesting. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about those make or break players. Who else do you have on the make or break list? Talk to you guys soon.